The U.S. Coast Guard is one of the 5 armed forces of the United States and the only military branch within the Department of Homeland Security. The Coast Guard protects against hazards to people, maritime commerce, and the environment. It defends our maritime borders and saves those in peril. The 7th Coast Guard District, headquartered in Miami, is one of 9 Coast Guard districts nationwide and has responsibility for all Coast Guard operations in South Carolina, Georgia, the Florida Peninsula, and the entire Caribbean Basin, which includes 34 countries and territories. This area encompasses 1.8 million square miles and includes the largest concentration of cutters and aircraft in the Coast Guard. The 7th Coast Guard District's workforce comprises approximately 4,000 active duty personnel, 900 reservists, 300 civilian employees, and 5,600 uniformed volunteers of the Coast Guard Auxiliary. The missions carried out by the 7th Coast Guard District personnel include drug interdiction, search and rescue, marine safety, migrant interdiction, marine environmental protection, aids to navigation, and ports, waterways, and coastal protection. The 7th Coast Guard District includes 8 of the nation's largest container ports and the 3 largest multi-day cruise ports in the world: the Port of Miami, Port Everglades, and Port Canaveral. The 7th Coast Guard District is organized into 6 sectors: Sector Charleston, Sector Jacksonville, Sector St. Petersburg, Sector Miami, Sector Key West, and Sector San Juan. Sector Charleston is home to 3 cutters, 4 multi-mission small boat stations, 3 aids to navigation teams, 1 marine safety unit, and 3 auxiliary divisions. There are more than 400 active duty members, 35 civilians, 260 reservists, and 700 auxiliarists carrying out the Coast Guard missions, with a primary focus on marine safety, maritime security, maritime mobility, national defense, and protection of natural resources on the inland lakes and offshore waters of Georgia and South Carolina. Homeported within Sector Charleston is Coast Guard Cutter Oak, the only 225-foot seagoing buoy tender assigned to the 7th Coast Guard District. The Cutter Oak has a crew of 50, whose main missions include servicing various aids to navigation throughout the 7th District and migrant interdiction operations. Also reporting to Sector Charleston is Marine Safety Unit Savannah, Georgia. MSU Savannah personnel assess and address maritime security threats, respond to potentially hazardous material spills, and help coordinate preparedness activities with area stakeholders. Sector Jacksonville's Area of Responsibility, or AOR, encompasses 40,000 square miles of ocean and inland waterways. Within the sector's AOR are 190 miles of coastline, stretching from Kings Bay, Georgia, to Port Malabar, Florida. Along this coastline are 10 inlets, most of which provide safe passage to inland waterways. Inland waters within the AOR include 248 miles of intracoastal waterway, 161 miles of the St. Johns River, and numerous rivers, creeks, and marshes. To cover this diverse and challenging AOR, Sector Jacksonville utilizes Multi-Mission Station Mayport and Security Detachment Mayport, Station Ponce de Leon Inlet, and Station Port Canaveral. In addition, Sector Jacksonville is a parent command to 4 cutters, 2 aids to navigation teams, and Marine Safety Detachment Canaveral. Sector St. Petersburg has become one of the Coast Guard's largest commands, with an AOR encompassing more than 400 miles of coastline along Florida's west coast and the 3rd largest U.S. port for domestic trade. In terms of total trade volume, including both domestic and foreign, the Port of Tampa ranks 12th nationally. The sector's 5 multi-mission small boat stations, 6 patrol boats, 2 aids to navigation cutters, and 1 aids to navigation team have responsibility for 4 primary operational missions: search and rescue, maritime homeland security, waterways management, and law enforcement. Each year, Sector St. Petersburg personnel conduct, on average, more than 2,600 rescue cases, assisting more than 7,000 people and preserving property valued at $39 million. Sector Miami spans 182 miles of coastline and has an AOR that covers 250,000 square miles. Sector Miami includes 4 multi-mission small boat stations, 8 patrol boats, and will receive the first of the Coast Guard's newest asset, the 154-foot fast response cutter. Home to 2 of the largest cruise ports in the world, Sector Miami personnel carry out the missions of maritime safety, maritime mobility, maritime security, and the protection of natural resources and national defense. Sector Key West has a unique area of responsibility, 55,000 square miles that border the territorial seas of Cuba and the Bahamas. It is a unified command consisting of 5 patrol boats, 3 small boat stations, an aids to navigation team, and 3 staff departments. Home to the only living reef in the United States, Sector Key West is an environmentally sensitive area, and its personnel maintain stewardship of the fragile ecosystem. Additionally, Sector Key West sees a multitude of undocumented migrants attempting to illegally enter the United States, as well as numerous search and rescue cases off the many islands of the Florida Keys. Sector San Juan is home to 6 cutters, 1 multi-mission small boat station, and 1 aids to navigation team. The sector is responsible for all Coast Guard missions in the Eastern Caribbean area. This includes enforcement of all laws and regulations of the United States relative to national defense, smuggling and counter-narcotics operations, fisheries management, marine transportation, marine safety, maritime security, protection of natural resources, and waterways management. Aside from numerous surface missions, the 7th District also performs search and rescue and law enforcement missions by air. Air stations in Savannah, Georgia, Clearwater, Florida, Miami, and Borinquen, Puerto Rico, as well as an air facility in Charleston, South Carolina, provide the coverage needed for the 7th District aviators to carry out these important missions by helicopter and airplane. 7th District air crews conduct flight operations over a 1.8 million square mile area using numerous aircraft, to include the MH-60 Jayhawk helicopter, MH-65 Dolphin helicopter, HC-130 Hercules aircraft, and the new addition to the Coast Guard's Air Force, the HC-144 Ocean Sentry aircraft. Our crews fly more than 29,000 hours per year, with 34 aircraft, prosecuting 5,100 search and rescue cases per year and 15,000 law enforcement cases per year. The men and women serving within the 7th Coast Guard District are held to a high performance standard, a necessary measure in living up to the challenge of a high operational tempo. They are vigilant. They are standing the watch. They are ready for the call. Semper Paratus.